The Christian God's okay with slavery. Leviticus 25:44-46, it states you can buy slaves, treat them as property, bequeath them to your children, and own them for life, and this is inherently problematic. What kind of God would endorse such heinous fundamental violations of principles of human dignity and autonomy?
This next guy is going to perform confidence and conviction for something he knows very little about.
So first of all, Old Testament slavery is not the same as American chattel slavery.
Actually, the Bible does make a distinction between debt slavery and chattel slavery. The only difference between biblical slavery and the Atlantic slave trade was it was not race-based. Race was not a concept during biblical times.
And second, God isn't endorsing slavery here, he's regulating.
Regulated slavery is still slavery, no matter how benevolent of a master you have.
Biblical servitude had legal protections, a mandatory release every 50 years, and rules against abuse.
Yes, there were protections against abuse for Jewish debt slaves, but the foreign slaves, according to Leviticus 25, you could keep and purchase women and female slaves from foreign countries around you forever. Not for 50 years, not for 6 or 7 years, but
forever.
American chattel slavery was permanent, hereditary, and treated humans as property with no rights and no way out.
I guess you've never heard of the Louisiana slave laws. That's okay because most everybody doesn't. There were actual regulations to treat your slaves fairly, but they were largely ignored or they just weren't privy to those laws. But despite those laws, we have the data on the ground that shows that slaves were not treated well at all. And yes, slaves in biblical times were treated as property or their silver.
These two things are fundamentally not the same. And the thing that most people miss is Jesus himself actually explains how this works. Matthew 19, the Pharisees asked Jesus if divorce is lawful, and Jesus says no. And they push back and say, well, then why would Moses allow it? And Jesus says it was because of the hardness of your hearts. And from the beginning, it was not so. See, God didn't endorse divorce, he regulated it. He met people where they were in a fallen world and put guardrails around human sinfulness. And when Jesus comes, he reveals that it was never actually God's ultimate intention. Slavery is the exact same pattern. God didn't create slavery and he didn't endorse it. He regulated a practice that already existed in the ancient world.
Whatever happened to reading the context of a verse? Because that is specifically talking about divorce. There was nothing countercultural at all about biblical slavery. As a matter of fact, the Mesopotamian laws had debt slaves going free after 3 years. What this seems to suggest is that God is bending to the conventional norms of the time rather than being countercultural. From the Old Testament to the New Testament, slavery